Assalamualaikum everyone, I'm Hana and I will be answering question 1. Question 1 asks about the definition of inflation and its main types with the relevant examples. So let's start with the definition. Inflation is defined as a persistent and sustained increase in the aggregate or average price level of goods and services in an economy. This results decrease in the purchasing power of money. Inflation is also measured by Consumer Price Index, that known as the Cost of Living Index. An increase in this is called inflation. Now let's move on to the main types of inflation. The first one is demand pull inflation. Demand pull inflation occurs when demand for goods and services increases greater than supply. According to the article, Bank Negara Malaysia mentions that measures in Budget 2025 minimum wage increase are expected to support private consumption. When the government implements a minimum wage increase, workers get more income. As related, when government give fuel subsidies, people spend less money on fuels and have more money left. To conclude, implementation of these policies puts more money in people's hands, resulting higher private consumption. Next, I will be explaining about cost push inflation. Cost push inflation happens when the cost of making or delivering goods goes up that decreases the amount of aggregate supply, resulting in a price increase. The article does mention this phrase, which is there were pockets of higher inflation for selected items, such as diesel in 20.1%. So, what does this mean? It means the government had reduced diesel subsidies, so the price of diesel increased. If we relate that with businesses who runs in transportation and delivery, these higher diesel costs made it more expensive to move goods. As a result, businesses may raise prices to cover the extra costs. To conclude, in 2025, prices in Malaysia are expected to go up by about 2% to 3.5% due to changes in government policies, such as reducing RON95 petrol subsidies and increasing the sales and service tax. For now, inflation is still low at 1.9% as in July to September 2024. To ensure prices don't go up too fast, government need to keep a close watch on it to help keeping a steady economy and protects people from rising costs. I will now pass the video to the next presenter.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Amira binti Amaluddin and I will be explaining question number 2. How does the government get price data of Consumer Price Index (CPI) to measure inflations? The first one is by selecting the CPI basket of the goods and services. The government first select a fixed basket of goods and services that represent the typical spending of Malaysians' household. These include essentials items such as food and beverage, like milk, chickens, and snacks. The second one is housing, like rent and utilities. The third one is transportations, like fuel, vehicle insurance. And the last one is medical care and others. The basket is frequently modified to reflect changes in a consumer behavior. For example, in the article, diesel and vehicle insurance are mentioned. Both are included in the transportation category of the CPI basket. The second one is conducting monthly price survey. DOSM conduct monthly survey to collect the latest price of item in the CPI basket. Price data is gathered from retail store, market, supermarket, service providers, rental unit, and online platforms. To document current prices, field officer visit or get in touch with these establishments. These prices are checked for accuracy and any change in the packaging or product quality are also considered. This step ensures that inflation is measured based on the real updated market prices. The third one, assigning weight to each category. The CPI basket item categories are weighted according to how important they are to the typical consumer buying habit, food and transportations. For examples, the weight more heavily than recreations. This explains why despite the fact that diesel prices climbed by 21%, As indicated in the article, overall, inflation remained unchanged at 1.9%. The increase was offset by reduced food inflation, 1.6%. In conclusions, the government gathers information on CPI prices by choosing an exemplary basket of products and services. The second one, conducting monthly price survey across the country. And the second one, assigning operations weight to each item based to consumer spendings. This allows for accurate measurements of inflation and help the government monitor of the cost living in the Malaysians. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Wafa. Today I'm going to be discuss how inflation affect individuals, society welfare and the standard of living in Malaysia based on the article provided. Let's talk about individuals. Inflation means price goes up. This affect people because they have to spend more money on things like fuel and insurance. For example, in the third quarter of 2024, diesel price rose by 20.1% and the insurance vehicle increased by 0.8%. So people had less money for the things like food or savings. Now let's talk about society welfare. When the price go up too much, it can hurt everyone, especially like low and middle income groups. But the article say food and beverage price only went up by 1.6%, which helped a bit. The government also reduced diesel subsidies and made sure the impact was controlled. This action helped protect businesses and the public from big cost increases. Lastly, standard of living. If price goes up and the wage stays the same, life becomes harder. But in the budget of 2025, government plan to raise the minimum wage. The central bank say this won't cause a big rise in inflation, so people can earn a bit more and still afford their basic needs, helping to keep the standard of living stable. In short, inflation affects people's daily life, society well-being, and a living standard. But with a good policy like a wage increases and the price control, the impact can be managed. That's it for me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Hazira. So I will continue to question number 4. Inflation is a serious concern for Malaysian economy and the government has introduced several effective policy measures to control it. According to the Daily Sun Daily, Malaysian inflation is expected to average between 2.0% and 3.5% in 2025, with key strategy outlined under Budget 2025. One important measure is the Target RON95 fuel subsidy, which help control transport costs and prevent a rise in overall price. Another step is the expansion of the Sales and Service Tax (XST) aimed at increasing government revenue without putting too much pressure on consumers. The government also rationalized diesel subsidies in June 2024. Although diesel inflation rose by 20.1%, overall core inflation stays stable at 1.9%, thanks to strong enforcement and support for business. Additionally, implement a minimum wage is seen as a positive move. It's helped boost a private consumption and past data show it has a small impact on inflation. Bank Negara Malaysia continues to monitor global risks such as rising commodity price to act quickly if needed. NGOs can also play a role by supporting vulnerable groups and ensuring fair pricing.